What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel, and today I'll be giving my thoughts on and picking all of the NFL's Week 1 matchups, so let's hop into it. But before we get started today, I did want to say thank you so much for 200 subscribers, and if you like this type of stuff, please consider subscribing. If you aren't subscribed yet, please consider it, because at 1,000 I will be doing a sports-related giveaway. I have a couple ideas in mind, but anyway, let's just hop over to the picks. Alright, now, so I'm going to be doing these picks on ESPN because I don't really know any other site that I can do this on, and if there is a better site for that, please let me know down in the comments. It would be appreciated, but just for now, we're going to stick with ESPN, and with our first matchup, we have the Thursday Night Football game, the first game of the season on September 7th. We have the Detroit Lions at Kansas City Chiefs, and this is going to be a fun one to watch. Jared Goff versus Patrick Mahomes, and I think some of the storylines here, like for Detroit, is like, can they live up to the hype? I know they've been hyped up this whole offseason. I know personally I am high on them. I've bought into the hype a little bit. So I do think Detroit, I have high hopes for them for this season. Then Kansas City, on the other hand, they just won their second Super Bowl in the past handful of years. So Kansas City's, they're proven. Detroit, they're not. So it'll be interesting to see how this game plays out. And I think one of the main storylines for Kansas City is what's going on with Chris Jones. Like, I know he's sitting out waiting for a contract. So there's a real possibility that he doesn't even play in this game for the Chiefs. And I don't think one defensive tackle is going to make a huge impact on the outcome of this game, but I do think the Chiefs will miss his presence there, causing havoc on that defensive line. So it might just relieve a little bit of stress from Detroit. But as you can see here, 93% of people picked the Kansas City Chiefs to win this game compared to the 7 that picked Detroit. And honestly, I'm in the minority of people right here, as I am picking the Detroit Lions to win this game right here. I'm a fan of the underdog. I think they can come out here and prove it, beat the reigning Super Bowl champions, and ultimately just shock the world right here in week 1. And then our next game right here, the Carolina Panthers at the Atlanta Falcons. And I think this is going to be a really good game. It is two division opponents, so there's always that little bit more tension in these games. And it'll just be really interesting to see how Bryce Young plays against a first team defense against the Falcons, who have a relatively good defense. And like I said before, this game could really go either way. And it's surprising to me a little bit that 54% of people, so the majority of people, do have the Panthers beating the Falcons. And once again, I guess I am in the minority here, as I will be taking the Falcons, the home team, in this game. And then right here, we have yet another division game, week 1, the AFC North, the Cincinnati Bengals at the Cleveland Browns. And this is probably one of the best games of this weekend. There's going to be a ton of good games, a lot of divisional matchups in week 1, but this game will be a really fun one to watch. The Bengals and the Browns always seem to put out a good show, in my opinion at least. But ultimately, I think this game relies on if Joe Burrow plays or not. At the recording of this video, there hasn't really been much said about whether or not he's going to play in this week. I know he just returned to practice, but the Bengals have been kind of hush-hush on that. And I think that is a huge thing in this game. Like, if he doesn't play, I really don't think the Bengals have much of a chance against this new improved Browns defense. The Browns revamped that secondary with like Juan Thornhill, Rodney McLeod. They revamped that defensive line, added some pieces around Myles Garrett. And with if the Bengals don't have Joe Burrow, like I said before, I really don't think they have a chance here. And even if they do have Joe Burrow, he hasn't played well against the Browns. I want to say he's like 1-4 in his career. So even if he's there and he's not 100% healthy, I just don't think this is a favorable matchup for the Bengals, and for that reason, I will be picking the Cleveland Browns. And now we have once again another divisional matchup. This time it is the Jacksonville Jaguars against the Indianapolis Colts. The Colts led by a rookie quarterback in Anthony Richardson, and I do think this game will be relatively close. I think the Jaguars could run away with it, but I feel like the Jaguars need to make a statement in this game. Like, if they can't go in there and destroy the Colts, I think that leaves this division open, like for Tennessee, and maybe, who knows, maybe the Colts or the Texans if they just shock the world. So I think if you're Jacksonville, you have to go in there and make a statement against the Colts. Whereas if the Colts, if you can keep this game close, put a little bit of doubt in the Jaguars' mind, maybe upset them, I think this would be huge for your season and kind of put a little stain on the Jaguars. But I do think the Jaguars will beat the Colts, so I'm picking the Jaguars. Then we have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at the Minnesota Vikings. And this is one of the first non-divisional matchups we got. And Baker Mayfield just got named the Buccaneers starting quarterback, so he will be starting this game against the Minnesota Vikings. And Tampa Bay, my headline for you is don't let Baker cook. In Minnesota, my headline for you is also don't let Baker cook. And the reason for that is Tampa Bay, like, don't go in there thinking, putting the ball in Baker's hands, making him go out there and throw the ball 40 times, because you're not going to win that way. I've watched Baker Mayfield the first couple years of his career being a Browns fan. It rarely ever worked out in the Browns' favor. So please do not go out there and expect Baker Mayfield to cook. In Minnesota, you also can't let Baker Mayfield cook. You can't let him get into a rhythm, get a little bit of swagger. He plays with that chip on his shoulder. You can't let him get comfortable and settle in and let him cook. So just nobody lets Baker cook this game. And Minnesota definitely has a more explosive offense than the Buccaneers. Their defense, a little bit of a liability, but overall, I think they are a better team than the Buccaneers. And 95% of people picked them over the Buccaneers, and I am one of those 95%, as the Vikings will beat the Buccaneers this week. Then we have the Tennessee Titans at New Orleans Saints. So a little AFC versus NFC right here. And this game will be Derek Carr's first official start for the New Orleans Saints versus Derrick Henry and DeAndre Hopkins and the Tennessee Titans. And this game could really go either way. I think it'll be one of the closer matchups this week. And I am favoring the Saints a little bit this week just because I think Tennessee's a one-dimensional team, just running the ball with Derrick Henry. If they can stretch the field with DeAndre Hopkins and maybe stretch the Saints defense out, maybe they'll have a chance. But with this being in New Orleans, if Derek Carr is on it this game, I do think the Saints will win this one relatively easily, but Tennessee could put up a really good fight and win. So I don't think, like I said before, I do think this will be a really good game, but I will be giving it to the Saints here. Then we have the San Francisco 49ers at the Pittsburgh Steelers. And this is a game of two really good defenses. The Steelers, the defense, that's the main part of this team. The 49ers, the defense is mainly the main part of this team. They do have a relatively good offense with more weapons than the Steelers, at least in my opinion. Honestly, this game just comes down to whose quarterback does better. Is Brock Purdy going to pick up where he left off last year and just set the league on fire? Is Kenny Pickett going to step up? I know he had a good preseason, but ultimately the preseason really doesn't mean anything. So is Kenny Pickett going to step up? Is Brock Purdy going to step up? And then, yeah, whoever I think steps up the highest will help their team win this game. It is in Pittsburgh, so that is a point towards the Steelers, but I do think the 49ers overall just have a better roster than the Steelers. So for that reason, I will be picking the 49ers to beat the Steelers. Then we have the Arizona Cardinals at Washington Commanders. And Arizona, like, are they tanking before the season even begins? Like, I don't know what is going on with this organization. They cut Colt McCoy, they traded for Josh Dobbs, they're trading away players like Isaiah Simmons. So I'm not really sure what's going on in Arizona right now. If they're just giving up on the season before it's begun. In Washington, on the other hand, they're in that ultra competitive NFC East. They need every win that they can get. And this is one of those games where I know it's week one, but I think it's a must win game for them if they want to be competitive. Like, they can't lose games against much inferior teams. And I don't even like saying Arizona's an inferior team. They're NFL teams. All the teams can win on any given week. But I do think Washington has to come out and win this game if they want any chance for this season. So because of that, I will be giving week one to the Washington Commanders. Then we have the Houston Texans at the Baltimore Ravens, and the Houston Texans will be led by rookie quarterback C.J. Stroud against this Baltimore Ravens defense, who is one of the better defenses in the league. Baltimore is one of the better teams in this league, so I really don't see Houston having much of a chance in this game unless just something insane happens to the Ravens, which I highly doubt. So I think the key for this game is to just stay healthy, both teams. Like, I don't think because Houston doesn't have much of a chance, I think they know that maybe. I know they wouldn't admit it, but I think they know that they don't have much of a chance. So if both of these teams can stay healthy, that'll be a really good thing. But I do think the Ravens win this one. But back to some divisional matchups. We have the Green Bay Packers at Chicago Bears. No Aaron Rodgers in this matchup, as it will be Jordan Love quarterbacking the Packers against Justin Field and the Bears. And wow, I'm kind of surprised 72% of people picked the Bears over the Packers. But I'm kind of surprised. I think these are two of the most overhyped teams this offseason. I know a lot of people are just raving about Justin Fields. A lot of people are raving about Jordan Love. And I just don't really get it. Like, I haven't really seen anything that these guys have done on the field, at least in the regular season. I think they're both super unproven. So because of that, I could just flip a coin and whoever it lands on wins this game. So I'm really just torn here because this game could really go either way. And I'm just kind of speculating on which quarterback I think can do better. And personally, I do think the Packers have better players on their roster than the Bears. I do think both these teams have a chance to be good, but I'll be picking the Packers right here in week one. Just another underdog pick, at least according to these ESPN numbers saying that only 28% pick the Packers. I don't even know how accurate these numbers are. I don't think it's professionals or anything. I think it's just people like me picking and then it registers. I don't know. Then we have the Las Vegas Raiders at Denver Broncos. Once again, another divisional matchup. And this one I think is the closest one yet, as 49% have picked the Raiders and 51% have picked the Broncos. I think I will be picking the Raiders right here just because Jimmy Garoppolo, Devontae Adams, Jacoby Myers, they have a lot of weapons, Josh Jacobs, the list just goes on and on. The Broncos, Jerry Jeudy just got hurt, which is a huge shot to that offense. They got a new head coach in Sean Payton. Russell Wilson really didn't look good last year. Then we have the Philadelphia Eagles at New England Patriots, and this is a rematch of, I want to say it was like Super Bowl 52 or something, Nick Foles versus Tom Brady, and neither one of those guys is in the league anymore. At least I don't think Nick Foles is in the league anymore. I could be wrong on that, I don't know. But we have the Eagles at the Patriots, and as long as the Eagles don't get billed in this game, and you're probably just like, what does getting billed mean? And that's when you lose to a Bill Belichick led team that shouldn't have beaten you, but they did just because of the fact that Bill Belichick outcoached the team. So as long as that doesn't happen, the Eagles should relatively easily win this game against Mac Jones and the Patriots. So I'll be picking the Eagles for this game. Then we have the Miami Dolphins at Los Angeles Chargers, and this is another really close picked game, another really close game. I feel like 49% pick the Dolphins, 51% pick the Chargers. And this game is my pick to be the highest scoring week one game. I am personally picking the Dolphins to win this game just because I'm not a fan of that Chargers defense. I think they give up way too many points, and Miami does have a better defense than the Chargers. So just based off that, I will be picking the Dolphins to win this game over the Chargers. So back to a couple more divisional matchups. We have the Los Angeles Rams at the Seattle Seahawks, and I'm not super high on the Rams this year. If you watch my season preview videos, you know this. I know Matthew Stafford's having a rough time. It just came out that he's not connecting well with the team, and I don't know how true that is, but that just makes me even lower on the Rams. And then we have the Seahawks, who Geno Smith signed that extension. Hopefully, he can pick up where he left off last year and play to that same level. Seattle, I do think, has a better defense. Hopefully, the Rams can stay healthy this year, but I do think the Seahawks will beat the Rams right here in this game. Then we have Sunday Night Football, the Dallas Cowboys at the New York Giants, and this is going to be another fun one to watch. So many fun matchups right here in week one, and this is going to be a really good game. Both of these teams should be super explosive offensively. Both of these teams should have a really good defense, at least they do on paper. So they really go hand in hand with each other. Here on ESPN, 73% pick the Cowboys compared to 27 with the Giants. And I don't know why the numbers are so skewed. I know there's probably a lot more Dallas Cowboys fans than Giants fans, but either way, I'm going to be picking the New York Giants right here to win this game. I think they come out, make a statement. I do think they'll probably split the season series though, but we'll probably talk about that more when the time comes. But yeah, so I have the Giants winning this one right here. And then the last game of the week, Monday Night Football, another divisional matchup. We have the Buffalo Bills versus the New York Jets, the new and improved New York Jets led by quarterback Aaron Rodgers against Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills. And I think the Bills welcome Aaron Rodgers to the AFC by absolutely destroying the Jets right here in week one. So I am picking the Bills to beat the Jets right here. I know this is probably an unpopular pick as Jets fans are super high for this season. The Jets are a super hyped team this year, and I'm not buying into that hype. I bought into Detroit's hype instead. So I'm not high on the Jets, and I do think they will lose right here to the Bills in week one. And if I'm the Jets, you got to at least keep this game close because if you get absolutely blown out here, I think you're going to lose a lot of credibility for this season. So Jets fans, just put on a good showing at least. So yeah, those are my week one NFL matchup picks. I'll put them all on screen right now for you to see. But yeah, let me know what you think. Do you have any upsets? Which picks would you swap around? Let me know down in the comments. Like the video, please subscribe to the channel. It would mean a lot. Let's get to 1,000 subscribers for a giveaway. But anyway, I'll catch you with another video. God bless.